Can you stop sugar cravings and low motivation with supplementing with inositol? So, I have a PhD in nutrition and exercise physiology from the University of Miami, and I have focused my work a lot on motivation, addiction, sugar addiction, all that kind of stuff. And I was able to use all that knowledge from my dissertation and working with thousands of clients to lose those 30 pounds and maintain it. I've also taught for over a decade at the University of Miami, the American College of Sports Medicine. And so I say all that to share with you how passionate I am about solving this problem of low motivation, depression, binge eating, sugar addiction, distractions. They all really share a basic common physiology, which is a low baseline dopamine level. And so in today's mini lecture, we're going to go over inositol as a supplement and whether or not you can use that as one of the tools in your toolbox. So, do you feel like you can't get motivated to chase your dreams no matter what you do? Or you might have a little spark of motivation, but you can't seem to be able to hang on to that? Have you yo-yo dieted before? Do you do you feel that food addiction might be playing a role in your inability to maintain a fit, healthy physique? Also, maybe you've struggled with video game addiction. So I've struggled with a lot of those things, especially the weight and the food addiction and depression, anxiety, all that kind of stuff that meant that I had a low baseline dopamine level. So I truly feel your pain and your frustration. And this is why I love sharing this kind of content with you, and I hope it resonates. So let's do a mini overview of what is a low baseline dopamine level. We have two types of dopamine. Most of the time when you go online or you listen to experts or you read blogs and they're talking about ways to increase dopamine, they're really not talking about baseline dopamine. They're just talking about phasic dopamine, which is this instant release of dopamine. What are the things that you can do or you can eat to release a little bit of dopamine? That is not how we change our lives. That is not how we accomplish our goals and become motivated and get fit and healthy once and for all. What we really want to do is raise our baseline dopamine. The scientific term for that would be tonic dopamine, which is baseline dopamine. And it has to do with the receptors of dopamine, not just the dopamine molecule itself. I'll talk about that in a second. So, tonic dopamine is a more sustained form of dopamine release, and it really sets the tone for the quality of your life. It sets the tone for your motivation, your mood, your energy levels, the amount of cravings, whether you have cravings or not, whether you have urges to get distracted or indulge in certain unhelpful behaviors or not. So, tonic dopamine is baseline dopamine. So, tonic dopamine is the same as saying your baseline dopamine level. And it's also the same as what your baseline energy and motivation and happiness level is right now. The higher your baseline dopamine level is, the more easily you can overcome food cravings, deploy discipline, work out, or work on any project or goal that you set for yourself. Now, what happens is that when you indulge in addictive foods that are highly delicious, or you indulge in playing too much video games, or maybe porn, or sex addiction, or shopping addiction, anything where you feel like you don't have control over your behaviors as much as you would like. All those behaviors over time lead to a destruction in the number of the dopamine receptors in your brain or the D2 receptors. You see, what are D2 receptors and why are they so important to what we're talking about? When you release dopamine in your brain, it's a chemical. It doesn't automatically make you feel amazing and energetic and motivated. It has to bind to its receptor known as the D2 receptor. And so it's like a lock and key situation. Dopamine gets released and it has to bind to the D2 receptor to unlock the key, to unlock the lock if you want. And that's how you feel the beneficial effects of dopamine. So dopamine has to bind to its receptor, the D2 receptor, for you to feel powerful and to feel the powerful and rewarding effects of dopamine, like mental clarity, energy, happiness, motivation, feeling focused. But when you have indulged in those kinds of quick dopamine activities, like the food addiction or video game addiction, for example, you can destroy the D2 receptors in your brain. So even if you do now are trying to eat a cupcake or pizza to get that same level of high, you don't really feel that amazing. It's just you're eating the cupcake or the delicious food just to offset the withdrawal effects from the addiction. So over time, when we have indulged in addictions and unhealthy behaviors, we have destroyed the amount of D2 receptors in our brain. And so now, whenever we release some dopamine, it doesn't really have anything to bind to anymore. And so you're constantly feeling depressed. You're constantly feeling lethargic. You're constantly just feeling bad, unmotivated. So when I used to teach at the University of Miami, Miami-Dade College, and all of those places, and I would talk about this, the number one question always was, okay, well, fine, we've destroyed our D2 receptors. Is there anything we can do to fix them? And the answer is absolutely. Not only can you fix them, but you can even raise them above what you were naturally born with. How amazing is that? And so this is really how I help my clients lose weight. This is how I help my clients really transform their lives by targeting the root cause of pretty much every ailment that most people struggle with, and that is a low baseline dopamine level. So what is my three-pronged protocol? I will usually talk about a specific type of exercise and specific types of visualizations. So those are two ways in which you can increase D2 receptor numbers. Exercising beyond your comfort zone can raise your D2 receptor numbers. So the faster you can run, the heavier weights you can lift, the higher your D2 receptor numbers get. And then also visualizations and meditations. Meditations is great, but I believe visualization is far more powerful because with meditation, you close your eyes and you are focused on the breath, right? How does your breath feel? Is it deep? Is it shallow? The number of breaths you're getting. Why waste our focus on the breath when we can still maintain focus on one thing, but why not have that one thing we're focused on be something that we are aspiring towards? Let's say the positive behaviors, let's say eating healthy, being fit. Why not focus our meditations on our goal? I feel like visualizations are far more powerful in my life. They have been transformative and also in the lives of my clients. So, and I've developed two types of visualizations. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but you have energy visualization and a training visualization, and they both have different applications, but they both will release dopamine. In one session of visualization, you can expect to increase instant dopamine by 65%. And over time, you also increase the number of D2 receptors. So that's a very powerful modality. And if you're not very interested in visualizations, I can assure you, you are visualizing all the time. So whenever your brain is thinking about thoughts, you're thinking in imageries and you are visualizing the life that you don't want. So why not take control of that, the power of visualization, and reorient it towards visualizing what you really want to achieve in your life? Okay, and then inositol, which is the topic of this mini lecture. Inositol is a supplement that has been shown to also increase the number of D2 receptors. So some studies have shown significant improvement in the treatment of depression with inositol supplementation. In the studies, they've used 12 grams per day of inositol over 4 weeks. Also, in animal studies, they've seen the same thing. They've showed an alleviation in depression with inositol supplementation. And multiple studies have shown that abnormalities in brain inositol levels play a big role in major depressive disorders and bipolar disorder. And you can check out some of the studies if you are inclined to dive deep into the science. This is another study, it's a review study, Neurobiology and Applications of Inositol in Psychiatry, a narrative review. It just came out, I believe, here it is, 2023. And this is a quote, a direct quote from this paper. They say here, finally, the therapeutic role of inositol has been examined for bulimia nervosa and binge eating disorder. Bulimia and binge eating, they share very similar commonalities with low baseline dopamine levels and addictive type behaviors. The crossover trial conducted by Gelber et al. Evaluated the efficacy of 18 grams of inositol per day in 12 patients over 12 weeks. And so in that study where they gave 12 patients, they gave them 18 grams of inositol per day over 12 weeks. So that's 3 months. The results showed improvement in their eating disorder severity. And they say here that that shows parallels with SSRIs or antidepressant medications. So similarly to how antidepressant medications can improve eating disorders, inositol supplementation has been shown, at least in that study, to also improve eating disorders severity. So the way that I work with my clients is via this three-pronged protocol. So and I've outlined my protocol in these three guides. So the dopamine brain, I outlined the specific types of exercise that you can use to raise your D2 receptor numbers. And in the Monster Mindset Guide, I dive deeper into the visualizations, the specific two types that I work with, which is energy visualization and the training visualization, and how that can be used just as powerfully as exercise, or if you can, in combination, which would be even more powerful to also raise D2 receptor levels. And then Monster Mind, the supplements, goes over all the supplements similar to inositol that can also be used to increase D2 receptor levels. You can check those out on drzaldivar.com/shop. I highly recommend, if you are interested in this protocol, instead of purchasing every single guide by itself, it is a lot cheaper to just get the brain bundle, which is all those three guides together, because then you get them at a much greater discounted rate. So just go to drzaldivar.com/shop and look for the brain bundle, which has all of the three guides. And you can always also hit me up if you are interested in one-on-one coaching, drzaldivar.com/coaching, and the drzaldivar.com/shop for all of my other guides. I hope this was helpful. And if you are enjoying this kind of content, let me know in the description, in the comment section below, and I will make sure that I follow that up with other similar content. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.